If any president spent the general election trying to close down polling locations or defund machines that count ballots, it would be a giant scandal. Abusing government power to thwart an election is the most fundamental abuse of power in a democracy because it can end a democracy. In an election where the winner this year could be decided by mail-in ballots, that is part of what the president appears to be doing, because the post office is now, of course, a main instrument of processing ballots, which is why Speaker Pelosi is literally calling the House back on this issue and to hold this emergency hearing. It's why there are calls to investigate the man Trump installed as postmaster general and to look into whether he's already executing Trump's desire to effect mail-in balloting, while Senate Democrats are pressing for a reversal of these mail policy changes. You're here because this is now as much of a legal story. Is what Donald Trump says out loud that he wants to do to the post office constitutional? And if not, what do you do?
It's obviously illegal, Ari, and it's obviously un-American, and it's obviously incompetent. I mean, we've had mail delivered for 200 years, and this guy comes along and can't even do that. And it would be suspicious anyway, any mail slowdown, because after all, in December, we always have mail surges over Christmas and the Postal Service handing billions of pieces of mail. And now all of a sudden, magically before an election, they can't do their job. And, you know, it's not just about the election, of course, it's about people getting medicine and business records being transmitted across the mail, all sorts of things. So the basic deal is there's a federal statute and there's state statutes, which both make what the president's doing illegal. The federal one is 18 U.S.C. 1703, and it says whoever, being a Postal Service officer or employee, unlawfully detains or delays any letter or postcard shall be imprisoned for up to 5 years. Now, and sometimes you might think, well, the president, you know, if there's mail is slowed down, it may be for other reasons or so on. But here, and you know, I've said this before, Donald Trump is the best co-counsel an opponent can ever have. He admits the game. Here he did that. He said the reason why he's worried about this is because of mail-in balloting, and that's why the slowdown's occurring. And, you know, that's just admitting basically a federal felony.
Now, we'll put that up on the screen here as we go full legal, the delay or destruction of mail. When you cite that, who would that potentially apply to? Who does that work against?
Well, it works against the statute's very broad. It says any postal office employee who's involved in this scheme. And, you know, this is a circumstance in which the president has himself kind of effectively given up the motivation. And so I think it really puts the Postmaster General, Louis DeJoy, in a tough position. He's, after all, going to have to testify next week. And now he's testifying in a circumstance in which his own criminal liability, and perhaps those of his subordinates, is on the line. That is an ugly place to be. And while DeJoy may feel some security with Barr as the Attorney General, Barr may not be the Attorney General forever. And as I said before, there are state attorneys general, each of whom are investigating their own counterpart state crimes here, which may be at play, because there is nothing more un-American than messing with an election. And if you're messing with the mail to do that, absolutely, it's a state crime and it's a federal crime.
And real people, as we've been reporting, are taking the pressure to the home of the Postmaster General himself today. Now, some of these efforts are already working. Pressure can work, as Donald Trump knows. Protests can work, as America has been seeing this year. Pelosi calling Congress back puts Americans on notice right now, this week, that she views this as an emergency, even in, yes, a year of emergency.
As you may know, a recent development has occurred.
Maryland congressional Democrats told reporters they got word just before walking over to the press conference set up outside U.S. Postal Service headquarters in D.C. Heard just moments before that Postmaster General Louis DeJoy had reversed course, had announced in a statement he would not implement operational or service changes to the postal system ahead of the November election, writing, quote, "To avoid even the appearance of any impact on election mail, I am suspending these initiatives until after the election is concluded."
But now it appears maybe their hand's been caught in the cookie jar and they're taking it out and leaving the cookies in place. We're going to make sure that happens.
So we have enough to worry about with foreign interference. We don't need an inside job to try to fix our elections. That's what was happening here. We caught them red-handed, but now we have to pass legislation to make it absolutely clear that this is unacceptable.
Lawmakers here today also ramped up calls for DeJoy's removal.
Called upon the Board of Governors to remove Mr. DeJoy and put someone in who has basic competency.
But today I stand here and I call for the resignation of Postmaster General DeJoy, who's putting our democracy and the health of our citizens at dire risk.
The Postmaster General also said today no mail processing facilities will be closed. Overtime, he said, will continue. And he said mail processing equipment in those blue collection boxes will remain where they are. But lawmakers here said they need to make sure that the stuff that's already changed, the equipment that's already been moved, gets moved back to the way it was before.